Welcome back, folks, to the Random Video Blog, where every single Friday I, Graham G.S. Matthews, give my rambling thoughts on the wrestling world, share a few stories, etc., etc. And we are only 2 weeks out from WrestleMania 32 on April 3rd. I cannot wait for it. And as always, the next couple of weeks will be WrestleMania-themed stuff. Today we're talking about my top 5 favorite Undertaker matches in WrestleMania history. The week after that, talking about SmackDown in Boston, which RJ and I will be in attendance for next Tuesday, which I cannot wait for, talking all about that experience right here in the video blog next Friday, hopefully. And then the Friday before WrestleMania, I'll be talking about my experience meeting Sting, who I'll be meeting tomorrow in Danbury at a show here in Connecticut. I'm on spring break. I'm home in CT. It works out perfectly. He'll be going into the Hall of Fame that Saturday of WrestleMania weekend. And of course, as I recorded this on St. Patrick's Day, news broke today that Sting might be, or very likely will be, retiring from the ring come his Hall of Fame speech on April 2nd. So that is very sad to hear, but I do look forward to meeting him, hopefully again. Nothing confirmed, but I think he will be. He definitely will be at the show. I don't know if I'll be able to meet him, but that's my hope. So hopefully we can get more of an update on that. I'll be able to talk about my experience meeting Sting in 2 weeks, talk about my experience at SmackDown next week, and today, without further ado, my top 5 favorite Undertaker matches in WrestleMania history. Now, I was going to do something similar to this last November when Taker celebrated 25 years in WWE, my favorite Undertaker matches of all time. The list probably wouldn't be too much different just because since I started watching, and I mean, again, as I always say, there's a distinct difference between best Undertaker matches and favorite Undertaker matches. I have more of a connection and an emotional attachment to these bouts as opposed to, his matches with Hulk Hogan in 2002 or whatever, just because I wasn't a fan. And as many of you know, I started watching in April of 2008. So for the past 8 years, I have mostly known Taker as a part-time guy. Now, if I was including my favorite all-time Undertaker matches from since I've been a fan, I'd probably include the match with Edge from SummerSlam 2008. That's maybe at another match or two that I'm not thinking of right now. Probably the match with Lesnar from Hell in a Cell from last October, but the list wouldn't be too much different from this one, so I'll say that right now. But anyway, Undertaker has been a huge staple, needless to say, in WrestleMania for the past 2 decades, going 22-1 on the grandest stage of them all since WrestleMania 7, when he defeated Jimmy Snuka in a surprising 90 seconds or whatever it was. And I do own the Undertaker DVD, the compilation DVD, I forgot what it was called, but it includes every single one of his WrestleMania matches, and I watched it right before his 25th anniversary back in November, or most of it anyway. And like I said, my favorite Taker matches only consist of matches that have occurred since I've been a fan, with the exception of number 5. It's a slight exception, just barely did not occur from when I was a fan. So we'll get right into it. So my 5th favorite Undertaker match in WWE WrestleMania history comes from WrestleMania 24 against Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, I talked about this match, and I definitely will be talking about all of these matches if I haven't already in my WrestleMania Recall series for Next Air Wrestling, my own website. Check it out in the description box below. A relevant cheap plug if you want to check it out. And I talked about this match a couple of days ago. So like I said, this is the only exception because this match did not take place when I was a fan. I started watching officially as a regular fan of WWE on April 14th, 2008. This match took place 2 or 3 weeks before that in late March at WrestleMania 24. And as I talked about in the article, the build for this bout was so great. Edge had stolen the World Heavyweight Championship from The Undertaker 1 year prior by cashing in Money in the Bank, and Taker had been in chase mode to get that championship back for almost a straight year. Edge came back after an injury at Survivor Series, cost Taker the belt, won the championship at Armageddon, defeated Rey Mysterio for the championship on back-to-back pay-per-views at the Royal Rumble and No Way Out, and in the meantime, Taker became the number 1 contender to the championship at No Way Out by winning an Elimination Chamber matchup. Now, we get to WrestleMania. The match itself is very, very good, in my personal opinion, one of the more underrated WrestleMania main events, especially in comparison to a lot of the other ones from that time period. The WrestleMania 23 and 21 and 26 even all have amazing matches, WrestleMania main events, but I thought this one was very, very underrated. Edge, despite not really, a lot of people really obviously did not think Edge would win and put the 1 and I think at that point 14-1. Or rather 15-1. I think it was 15-1 at that point. He was 15-0 going into WrestleMania 24. And a lot of people didn't think Edge would win. But he put up a hell of a fight. He had a great match with Taker. Those two had awesome chemistry. I think this might have been the first time they went one-on-one. Save for probably like a meaningless match in the Attitude Era like 10 years earlier. But other than that, This was their first major one-on-one encounter, and they had great chemistry together and put up a hell of a match. Interference from Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder to no avail. In the end, Taker forcing Edge to tap out to clinch his first, or rather second, World Heavyweight Championship. Awesome match. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Predictable outcome as many of these matches were, but still a great match. And like I said earlier, I also love the hell out of their SummerSlam match inside Hell in a Cell. Basically, the whole feud I love from 2008. A very underrated feud, compared to Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho that pretty much stole the show over on Raw for pretty much 6 or 7 months straight. In the meantime, on SmackDown, you had Edge and Taker going at it in a great feud. So coming in at number 4 on my list of favorite Undertaker matches at WrestleMania comes from WrestleMania 29. I think I have the whole list memorized in my mind. I don't want to fuck it up here, but I'm pretty sure from WrestleMania 29, Undertaker versus CM Punk. A match that had been rumored for months. In the final, and I think this is today's actually WrestleMania article, I'm pretty sure. So if you want to check out my full thoughts on the match, check out the website, cheap plug, like I said. But this match had been rumored for a long time. In the final few months of 2012, I really wanted to be over the championship. I really wanted Punk to retain against Rock at the Royal Rumble and go on to face Taker in a title versus career match, or title versus streak match, rather, at WrestleMania 29. Maybe it didn't have to be the main event, but it would have been fitting. Give Taker one last run as a champion, retire the championship the next night on Raw, whatever. Didn't happen, obviously, and it would have been Punk's 500th day or something around there, something close to 500 days as WWE champion. It didn't happen. Would have been amazing, but they had a great match regardless. The feud itself was all right, focusing on the actual death of Paul Bearer in real life. But the match itself was incredible. For a show that sucked, for a show that I really did not like at all, that really has not many redeeming qualities whatsoever, this was the saving grace of the show, if there ever was one. Punk and Taker went out there with a determination to steal the show, and they absolutely did just that by having just a fantastic match, a lot better than their encounters in late 2009, which weren't bad matches, by the way. Punk, I think they kind of touched upon that a little bit on Punk's documentary from a couple of years ago. Their matches weren't bad. Punk was obviously in a completely different place at that point in his career, but the chemistry they had at Hell in a Cell and Bragging Rights and Breaking Point, not bad matches, just they weren't anything close to what this match was. And Punk coming very close. I love the spot where Punk hits the GTS on Taker. Taker just bounces back on the ropes, and hits the tombstone on Punk, and Punk kicks out. That was an awesome spot. Completely no-selling the GTS. I thought that was hilarious. In the end, Taker hits the tombstone for the win and goes 21-1, or rather 21-0 at WrestleMania. Great match. Coming in at number 3. And the next 3 matches should be pretty obvious, but the final 2 picks here, the top 3 could be a little controversial for some people, because I know some people would rearrange them. But this is my top 3. This is my top 5, not yours. So I want to hear your top 5 after I'm done. But my third favorite Undertaker match at WrestleMania comes from WrestleMania 26. In the main event against Shawn Michaels, a streak versus career match. And don't think, you'll see the other Shawn Michaels match on here somewhere, obviously. But this was technically my first WrestleMania. I started watching after WrestleMania 24. I was around for WrestleMania 25. I couldn't watch it because I was pretty sure I was grounded at that point, so I couldn't watch the show over John's. But he was nice enough to invite me over for WrestleMania 26. We watched the show together. So that was watching my first WrestleMania as a fan, and it was a great show, very, very enjoyable. One of the more underrated WrestleManias in recent memory. But the build for it was amazing. Shawn Michaels, just in a desperate attempt to face Taker at WrestleMania, entered the Rumble. He fell short, attacked one of the referees on his way out. He interfered in the Elimination Chamber match to cause Undertaker the World Heavyweight Championship in one last ditch attempt to last minute ditch attempt, whatever, however you say it, but you know what I mean, to face Taker at WrestleMania 26, and had a great outing against the Phenom. Just back and forth these guys went. It wasn't that predictable. A lot of people figured Taker was winning and that Shawn Michaels was retiring, but you never really know. Shawn Michaels came very, very close in defeat, and this was the match that I ranked, or John and I ranked, in our top 30 WrestleMania main events of all time, ranking every WrestleMania main event with the exception of 31 because we wrote it before that event last spring, if you want to check that out. Also in Exeter Wrestling. That was my top favorite, or our best WrestleMania main event of all time. The storytelling was just incredible. The final match in Shawn Michaels' career, and after not being able to close out the show at WrestleMania 25 as they should have, they got the opportunity to do so at WrestleMania 26. They made the most, more than most of that opportunity by just having a just amazing match at WrestleMania 26. And like I said, the final match in the career of Shawn Michaels. So, my final two favorite Taker matches, Mania matches from The Undertaker, include from WrestleMania 28, coming in at number 2, Undertaker versus Triple H inside Hell in a Cell with Shawn Michaels as the special guest referee. And as many of you know, WrestleMania 28 is right up there with WrestleMania 31. 31 was so great. I mean, I still have trouble saying which one is my favorite definitively, just because both shows were just fantastic in my opinion. But 28 holds a very special place in my heart. It was an amazing event from top to bottom, specifically the main event matches, including this one. For a match, I think that, why this match stands out so special, as being so special to me, was because at one point I had no desire to see it whatsoever. Technically, even the WrestleMania 27 match, which I didn't like at that time, and I've come to like a lot more in the years since by watching it back, even for a match like that, that was a rematch of what we saw 10 years earlier from Taker and Triple H at WrestleMania 17. So for the match to happen a third time at WrestleMania when it was rumored in the final few months of 2011, I wanted no part of it. I thought it would suck. I thought it was a waste of time. Taker should have faced someone else. But they completely changed my attitude towards this match in the weeks leading up to the show by including Shawn Michaels in the stipulation, end of an era, which really wasn't because both guys ended up wrestling the next year anyway. Triple H even wrestled a couple months later at SummerSlam, but for what that's worth. But I thought the match itself, again, a lot like the Shawn Michaels match, which was better wrestled. I thought the storytelling in this one, though, was just amazing. And this is why I said controversial, because I think other people would rank the 26 match, if not a number 1, then easily number 2. But I just really, really, really like this match and all the storytelling. It was riddled with interference and overbooking and all that other kind of stuff, but that's what I fucking loved about it. And call me a hypocrite, but I thought it was great. Shawn Michaels selling and his emotion, his drama was just fucking awesome. Triple H and Taker not having the best wrestle match of all time, but for what it was and the story they were trying to tell and planting that seed of doubt in the fans that maybe he could go 19-1 at WrestleMania to the COO of the company and the fixes in with the members of D-Generation X was just spectacular. In the end, Taker planting Triple H with the tombstone to go 20-0 at WrestleMania. And of course, the money shot of the whole match, Taker, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H walk up the ramp together and embrace each other as they look back at the crowd and the pyro goes off. And it's a great shot. It's a picture is worth 1,000 words. This one was worth 1,000,000. Just amazing stuff. And of course, number 1 coming in at no surprise. I'm sure as soon as you clicked on this video, I'm sure you knew exactly what my number 1 would be. Undertaker versus Giant Guns. I'm just kidding. Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 25 in 2009. Again, a lot like WrestleMania 29. The show sucked. I did not like the show at all. I mean, when I first bought the DVD, I didn't buy the DVD, but I got it for my birthday in 2009. I fucking loved it because I was a mark, and I still am a mark, but not knowing what was good and what was bad and whatever. But watching it back even a couple of years later, knowing the show was just such shit. I did not like a lot of the matches. A lot of the matches were either too predictable. I didn't like who won. The main event sucked. The World Heavyweight Championship match with Big Show, Edge, and John Cena was kind of fucking random. But of course, a lot like WrestleMania 29, Undertaker, serving as the saving grace of the show alongside Shawn Michaels in what was a great build for their match. The subtle teases at the Rumble, and, sometimes it's heaven just trying to get to hell, Undertaker's famous line right before WrestleMania. And the build was great, Shawn Michaels trying to personify God in his entrance and wearing all white was just, the dynamic was incredible. Their first one-on-one match since going one-on-one at the Rumble back in 1998. Almost a decade earlier, right before Shawn Michaels retired due to the back injury that he suffered in his match with The Undertaker at the Rumble 98, which they did not bring up, I don't think. I didn't even know that, of course, as a fan while watching at that time. But they didn't bring that up during the course of the feud going into WrestleMania 25, which I think was for the better, because they focused on what had happened since then and not what happened back, 10 years earlier. But the match itself, what can I really say? I mean, the match is a 5-star classic. I know we say that about a lot of matches, but this was a 5-star classic. The crowd went nuts. They were dead for the rest of the show after this because this match was so great. You couldn't top it. In the finish, in the end, Shawn Michaels going for a moonsault on The Undertaker, and he catches him in a tombstone for the victory. Just an amazing spot that really just blew the roof off the place. And earlier on when Taker hit the tombstone on Shawn Michaels and he kicked out at 2, surprisingly enough, that great, again, like I said with the Triple H match from 28, that money shot, the close-up of Taker, and he's just shocked. He's laying on Shawn Michaels' stomach. It's just an amazing shot. And like I said, a masterpiece of a match. If you have never seen this match, or if you don't like this match, you are not a real wrestling fan. I'm just kidding. But if you don't like this match, I don't know what's wrong with you, because this match is just amazing from start to finish, and my favorite WrestleMania match of Undertaker's of all time, on the grandest stage of them all. So that is my top 5 favorite Undertaker matches. Like I said, my top 5 is going to be very different from yours, considering I started watching in 2008. My first Taker match technically was 2009, but I included the Edge match just for shits and giggles, because it was a really, really good match. I mean, I could include matches of all time of Undertaker's from WrestleMania, but even the earlier ones. I mean, I guess I could say, like, my favorite Undertaker matches of all time, but it wouldn't be any different. Like, I really like the Orton match from 21. The match with Henry sucked. The one with Batista I thought was good. It wasn't my favorite, but it was a really good match. You know, even before that, the matches with Triple H at 17 and Ric Flair at 18, both really good matches, but I don't think they're as good as the matches I just mentioned. My personal opinion. And then earlier than that, all the matches sucked. From like WrestleMania 7 to, 15, they weren't completely awful. Most of them were, but some of them were just kind of mediocre at best. Nothing compared to these classics that I just listed off. So like I said, guys, I want to hear what your favorite top 5, top 7, top 10 favorite Undertaker matches in WrestleMania history are, down in the comments below, on Twitter at WrestleRant, on Facebook at facebook.com/graham.jason.matthews. All the links are down below in the description box. As I mentioned earlier, only 2 weeks away from WrestleMania, which I cannot wait for. As you can tell, it's going to be a great show, in my personal opinion. And exactly 2 weeks away from NXT TakeOver Dallas, which I am also very much looking forward to. Hall of Fame weekend, Raw on Monday, that always amazing Raw, post-WrestleMania Raw. It's going to be a blockbuster a blockbuster weekend, to say the least. So like I said at the start of the video, guys, next Friday, hopefully, if I can get the video recorded on Wednesday or Thursday or even Friday. I mean, it's hard to find time. It's going on spring break right now, obviously, as you can tell in the change of environment from the random video blog every single Friday, from the usual set. But I'll be back at school next week, which is great timing, because I'll be on SmackDown in Boston on Tuesday, which I am super looking forward to. I think the final real SmackDown before Mania, because as you know, the final SmackDown before Mania usually consists of video packages and shit, because they're already on site for WrestleMania. But that should be a great time. Hopefully, I'm looking forward to you talking about that next Friday. And as they mentioned, I'll be talking about my experience beating Sting, hopefully, and if not, just my thoughts on Sting retiring just in general. 2 weeks from now, here in the video blog, only 24 hours ahead of Sting's WWE Hall of Fame induction before I meet him after I meet him this upcoming Saturday in Danbury at a big-time wrestling event, which I am super pumped for. So a lot of stuff going on, guys. Also, if you haven't already, check out my exclusive interview with Jim Ross from this past week's episode of WrestleRant Radio. Had an absolute blast talking to him. A great interview. Thanks for all the feedback on Twitter, Facebook, text. Everything, you guys are just phenomenal. But check out that interview. The excerpts are here on the channel from yesterday, and also tomorrow on the WrestleRant series, I'll be reviewing Elimination Chamber 2014. So check back for that. So enough of my talking, guys. Have a great rest of your weekend. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch you folks down the road.